Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Mila, you're at Alexandrian Archives, and if you're new here, welcome. If you're not new, welcome back. Today we are doing the 20 questions book tag. I saw this from Jack Edwards and thought it might be a fun thing to do because I haven't done tags in a while. So while there is still light outside, I will be filming. So grab a drink, grab a snack, we might be here for a while. And let's get started. Roll the intro. So I have a notebook with all the questions and my answers. Because I did have to think about some of these because I was like, I don't know how to answer this. And I have iced tea in here, in this fancy tumbler. Ooh, that is sweet. Very sweet. Incredibly sweet. So yes, let's get to it. Number one, how many books is too many books in a series? The first thing I can think of is Wheel of Time. I haven't read fully through, but I think 14 books is a lot. Especially if you're trying to read them one after the other, since all of them are published right now. And you really have to give yourself like gaps of time. Because apparently there's a lot of repetition in the novels because of how much time came between the book one book being published and then the next one being published. So 14 is a lot. 14 is a lot, but people could be saying the same thing about Brandon Sanderson's Stormlight Archives. Who the hell needs 10 books in a series? But like, there's not a lot of repetition in that one, I don't find, because I read Way of King and then Way of Kings and then Words of Radiance one after the other. And there was barely any repetition. So I feel like it's slightly different. Please ignore the yelling in the background. It's a slightly different situation, but then again, I don't know. The other one I have is Red Queen, because that was like 3 books and then it ended up being more books. And I only read the first one and then I wasn't really interested in the rest. And also Shatter Me. That was 3 books and then it turned into like 6 books or something, plus a bunch of novellas. And it's just ridiculous. I don't know what Tahira Mafi was thinking about. But yeah. Anyway, in my opinion, the perfect amount of books is like a trilogy. And even then, that's like very iffy. Some books are meant to be standalones. They did not need a sequel. Or even like a companion novel. Like, they didn't need that. Why? You're not adding anything to the world. Anyways, the second question is, how do you feel about cliffhangers? I feel like in some cases they're sort of necessary to build up the tension for the next book. I witnessed Mark of Athena. Okay, I was there. You had to be there. Okay, to get the book when it came out. Okay, when it came out. When did Mark of Athena come out? That's a good question. Mark Athena came out in 2012. So imagine, 10-year-old me going to the bookstore, getting the book, reading it in like 3 days, and having to wait a whole year after reading that Percabeth fell into Tartarus. Because Percy is too loyal to his girlfriend. And he's like, you're never getting away from me again. Like, can you just imagine that? Like, can you imagine that? Like, that's freaking crazy. Like, that is absolutely nuts. Like, I don't know what Rick Riordan was thinking. I am still so mad about it, honestly. I cannot, like, it's nuts. It's crazy. Absolutely, utterly crazy. So yeah, I was there for Mark of Athena. So I feel like in some contexts it is necessary, in other contexts it is definitely not necessary, and the book could have been longer and stuff, and it wasn't necessary to just like stab me in the heart, literary wise. So also I was there for the Dragon Republic cliffhanger, and I had to wait for the Burning God. So safe to say I'm not a huge fan of cliffhangers, but it is what it is. Number 3, hardcover or paperback? It depends. I have a mix, okay? I have paperbacks, I have hardcovers, and I even have mass market paperbacks. It depends. If I know I want to annotate the book, I am picking up a paperback. I'm waiting for the paperback, where I'm reading it on my Kobo and I'm annotating it and then like sort of switching it over to the physical copy. If I want it to just look pretty on my shelf and then just read it and not annotate it, hardcover goes. But yeah, it really depends on the situation. I don't have really a favorite. Paperbacks are good for like taking it places and stuff, but again, I use my Kobo. Like, I am like a staunch Kobo user. Okay, I live by that thing. So it depends. The question number 4, favorite book. I have too many. Some include Catching Fire, The Will of the Many, One Dark Window, and Athena's Child, which I have videos about. I've mentioned them before. I've talked about them before. If you're new to the channel, I obsess over these books. So, yeah. Question number 5, least favorite books. I don't know if we're talking about in general or TikTok centered too, but Light Lark, Fourth Wing. Skidamarink by Guillaume Musso was a disappointment. I don't know why they had to take it back and rewrite it, apparently, because that was his first novel and it wasn't received very well. And then once he started writing more and more and he became more famous, his other novels were more received. I just didn't like it. Maybe I need a refresh on the synopsis, but on what actually happened. But I remember finishing it and I wasn't wowed by it at all. You know, I didn't like how the main character treated the one female character. The vibes were off. I think La Jeune Fille, La Nuit is still like the best one that I've read by him so far. And so far I've only read 3. So I've read Skidamarink, La Jeune Fille, La Nuit, and L'Appel de l'Ange. And I just think that La Jeune Fille et la Nuit was the best one, from what I can remember. Yeah, so that's that. Book 4 and 5 of Air Awakens were not necessary. Going back to the first question, how many books is too many books in a series? 5 books in this case, because it could have been finished in a trilogy. Like, it could have come full circle in a trilogy, or even a quartet. It did not need 5 books. Like, it was like walking through mud when reading the 4th book. I did not like it. But, yes, anyways, book 4 and 5 of Air Awakens. Skandar and the Unicorn Thief was a Harry Potter wannabe. Also, the fact that it's Skandar and not Iskandar, as someone who is Persian, throws me off. And the plot twist was so predictable. It was so predictable. I don't know why they paid so much money in advance to this. I'll be reading the second one, but I don't have high expectations. And the other one that I remembered being like one that I didn't like is Full Moon by Jim Butcher, which is the second Dresden Files book. I read the first 6 Dresden Files and then I sort of experienced burnout with that one. They're really easy, they're really short. There are some valid criticisms about the way Jim Butcher writes Harry Dresden and the way Harry Dresden acts, so to speak, but I had a fun time. So, I don't know what that says about me, but I've read loads of problematic authors, and yeah, I don't know. That's all I can really say. The next question, number 6, love triangles. Yes and no. And the only book I can remember that did it well was Iron Widow. So, yeah, and considering it's Hugo disqualified, or Hugo, yeah, it's Hugo it's been disqualified by the Hugo Awards. Go read it. Clearly they're scared of something. But that's a whole other drama thing, so. Yeah, so I mean, every trope can be done well, and every trope can be done awfully. I don't think the love triangle trope ever really works, except in the case of Iron Widow, but that definitely took a turn I did not see coming. But the thing with love triangles is that it's hard to make it not obvious who they're supposed to be with from the start. Like, for example, in the Inheritance games, I do not understand why people want Avery to be with Grayson. Because it's so obvious, given by the amount of interactions that she has with Jameson, it's so obvious that she's supposed to be with him, and Grayson is going to have his own arc. So I don't understand why people are Team Grayson. Just say that you want the broody character. He has barely the equivalent of like 5 minutes of screen time. Like, he's barely there. And he, like, as far as I remember, betrays her. So I don't know, like, how else to say this. I'm Team Jameson, and so should you be. I don't know. Question number 7. Most recent book you couldn't finish. I typically don't DNF books, but I think just because I'm very picky with my books, so I end up just not really having a lot of DNFs. But I should have DNF'd Lightlark. That took away too much of my time. But a book that I think I will probably put down for the foreseeable future is A Drop of Venom by Sajani Patel. It's not clicking. I don't know what it is. I cannot explain. It's a Medusa retelling inspired by like Indian mythology and like a, Indian setting. And it sounds so cool, but I just cannot get through it. Like, it is just so, I don't know, I don't want to say boring, but it's just so, it's not clicking with me. That's all I can say. And that's the only one from the book club picks that has not gone down well with me. Feybound is amazing. I'm still reading it. But yeah, I think that's what I'm gonna say for this one. Number 8, a book you're currently reading. I am reading A Tempest of Tea by Hafsa Faisal, and I'm reading The Cleopatras by Lloyd Welland Jones, which, if you follow me on my Bookstagram, you have probably seen me talk about. Yeah, so those two, highly recommend Tempest of Tea if you like Six of Crows and you want vampires and heists. And The Cleopatras if you want a nonfiction book about all the Cleopatras, not just Cleopatra the 7th. Number 9, last book you recommended to someone. So, I recommended a lot of books. I can't really keep track of it all, but the most recent one would have been, I actually influenced her to start it, because turns out she actually had the book. We were talking about, a coworker and I were talking about Zutara versus Katang. For those that don't know, Zutara is Zuko and Katara's ship, and Katang is the Katara and Aang ship in Avatar The Last Airbender, the cartoon, okay, the animated show, okay? And we are of the mind that Zutara should have happened, because Katara and Aang being put together regresses both of their character development. And as an older sister, I can tell you that I would not want to be with someone like Aang. I do appreciate some people are like a little bit childish, and that's fun, but Aang was too childish for Katara, I think. And yeah, I don't know. So I recommended Jade Fire Gold by June Seal Tan, which is Zutara. Basically, if Katara was a dark avatar and Zuko was sent in to kill her, or bring her in. So highly recommend that one. And she has another book coming out actually in April called Darker by 4, which is inspired by Chinese mythology. Also highly recommend. You check that out if that sounds interesting. And the other book that I recommended was A Tempest of Tea to my cousin, because she loves Six of Crows and I keep recommending books to her, but she keeps sort of putting it in the back of her mind and kind of ignoring it until I pester her enough about it. So, yeah. Number 10. Oldest book you've read by publication date. Probably like the Odyssey or something. Or maybe Jules Verne. Yeah, I'd say Jules Verne is the oldest on my shelves. Not on these shelves, he's downstairs, but yeah, the Odyssey or Jules Verne. Probably the oldest. Odyssey, Iliad. Unless we're talking about the like translation, then it would be Jules Verne. I have no idea, honestly. 11. Newest book you've read. Tempest of Tea, Cleopatra's. Moving on. 12. Like favorite books. Favorite authors. I think Rick Riordan, Arv Kwong, Chudhar, John He, Brandon Sanderson, Suzanne Collins. Lloyd Wallen-Jones is actually becoming one of my favorite authors in terms of historical fiction. Historical non-fiction, sorry about that. But yeah, definitely another one to add to the list. 13. Buying books or borrowing? Both, because I try to buy secondhand. If I can't, I do buy from like a nickel or Amazon once in a while. And a library on my Kobo for borrowing. Number 14. A book you dislike but everyone loves. Tower of Dawn by Sarah J. Maas. I don't like the whole Throne of Glass series, but I strongly dislike Tower of Dawn. I think that was a filler book and not necessary. And the Shadow and Bone trilogy. Don't mind the music in the background. My brother put on Katy Perry, which makes me feel old. Anyways, question number 15. Bookmarks or dog ears? Honestly, either or. I always lose track of my bookmarks and I just lose them. So I just find whatever is nearest, or I just memorize the page number. Or if it's a hardcover, I used to like flap to mark my page. So yeah, that's sort of it. 16. A book you always reread. Percy Jackson on the Olympians, The Lightning Thief. Also The Titan's Curse, because that one's my favorite. And I will not hear any criticism of it. Thank you very much. Number 17. You read while hearing music. The thing is I listen to K-pop and I read in English. So the two languages, I don't know enough Korean to be distracted by it. So the two languages don't really overlap, I guess. And also I do listen to like classical music if I don't want to listen to K-pop. So yeah, I can listen to music while reading. 18. One POV or multiple POVs? It depends on the book. It's difficult because it almost depends. Like for example, Judas Blossom, I definitely like seeing multiple POVs. Catching Fire, I liked the one POV. Divergent, I did not want forced POV in Allegiance. In Allegiant, for example. So I think that one should have stayed first person all throughout. Tempest of Tea, for example, I like having the different third person POVs. You have Arthi, you have Jin, you have Flick, you have different POVs, right? So it really depends, and it also depends how well the author handles it. 19. Do you read a book in one sitting or over multiple days? It honestly depends on how much I can concentrate. Again, it depends. I've read a middle grade in like 3 hours. Okay, I've read Words of Radiance over 16 days. So it varies. Also, Words of Radiance is like 1,800 pages. So that also counts. But given that I read an 800-page book in like 5 days, 16 days is a little bit too long. But you get what I'm saying, right? It depends how invested I am. Oh no. I forgot the 20th question. What's the 20th question? What's the 20th question? Oh my god. 20th question. Who do you tag? Oh, whoever wants to do it. I don't really mind. Whoever wants to do it. Do it. Consider yourself tagged. And with that, this video comes to an end. Like, comment, subscribe if you like this video. Hit the bell icon to be notified of every time I post. Follow me on my socials. Everything will be linked down below. And I will see you in the next one. Happy reading!